All right, we're ready to go here with day one of the masterclass. Right here at Bridge Heaven Masterclass, and you'll find out what that is about in a little bit. But first, I want to have you understand something here. So let me just add something here. I want you to understand that you are the best medium when it comes to your loved ones in spirit. What I mean by that is your loved ones, generally speaking, would rather speak to you, not the medium, if possible. Okay. And granted, they'll take whoever they can. I've seen that happen. They'll come through whatever way they can, if they can. We're going to talk more about all these things, but I want to drive this point home first. If you understand this, that you are the best medium to communicate with someone you love on the other side, you'll have gotten the main point of this entire masterclass. Okay, because as much as that medium, you know, has abilities, and they do, right now it's a very tricky time with mediumship on the planet. There's just way too many fake mediums or inept mediums, well-meaning mediums that don't know what they're doing, and they will tell you all kinds of things that aren't necessarily true, like you cannot continue your relationship with someone who's crossed over. That's wrong. That's impossible. You're holding them back. None of that's true, right? Or they'll tell you your loved one is earthbound, and if you keep talking to them, they're going to stay here, right? You're trapping them here. That's not necessarily true either. There are earthbound spirits, but chances are yours isn't. Okay, so if you want to understand more about that, you can look at our rest of our other YouTube videos, and we'll talk about this later, but I just want to emphasize that you are the best medium because of the bonds of love you share with those you care about on the other side. That is all you need. And okay, Alan's saying to me, not strictly true. You need a few more things, and we're going to talk about that too. This is what this masterclass is about, right? There are other things, but it's less about you adding something to yourself, right? Like, sure, there's things to understand, there's things to learn, don't get me wrong. But it's less about, oh, I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to read this information, whatever. There's only so much you need to learn. The real stumbling blocks are more to do with your belief system. Okay, and we're going to cover that today. But again, I want you to understand that you are the best medium. That's just it. That's just the truth. So first and foremost, let's start by setting our intention, not just for the entire series, the days that we're spending together, but what's your intention for today's class? Like today's class. Okay. And I would encourage you to let go of expectations. And you might think, well, what does that mean? What's the difference? Expectations focus on future outcomes. It's like you have something you want to happen, and you're kind of set on it. Like, I really want this. I expect this to happen. Whereas intentions focus on the process or the things that you plan to use or do to achieve those outcomes. So an example here is, I intend to be in a relaxed state when I connect, with the other side. That would be a great intention. But see how you're not focused on, I expect to see my loved one in 3D, something like that. That's an expectation. So I want you to think, while we're together right now, what is your intention? What is your intention for today's session? Let go of any expectation of how that's going to show up, and just think about that. What would you say is that? Now, I want you to hold onto that for a minute. Like, what is your intention? And you can have a broader intention for the whole masterclass, but what is it for today? Because today is today. All you have is today. All you have is now. What is your intention for today? And don't worry, you can't get it wrong. Even if you think you got it wrong, don't worry about that. Okay. So Think about that. Intention is everything because it launches your experience. I intend to be open-minded and calm and relaxed to the best of my ability. That will take you very far with connecting through the veil. So something like that would be a great intention, or you could say, I intend to get whatever I can get out of this day, out of this class, whatever's for my highest good. I intend to experience that. That would be wonderful too. Yeah, like whatever, I'm giving you some examples, okay? And I want to emphasize this as well. We talked about this before in our lives that, and I just want to remind you, half the population of the US has experienced some form of after-death communication, regardless of their beliefs, is what I want to add, because I've seen people, heard of people that have this experience and they go, oh my God, like I don't believe in this craziness. And those people sometimes have the hardest time because it really is a surprise and a shock and they don't know what to do with that. So that is occurring with more frequency. I've spoken about this before in the previous live, and you can go and check that out. But what's happening is all of us are becoming more sensitive. It's our spiritual awakening. You cannot stop it. You can try to block it, and good luck with that. But if you block it, you end up kind of feeling more frustrated and more distorted, because if you came here to open up and if you came here to connect with someone through the veil, for sure, you're here to like explore that, and you're going to raise your vibration. That's the only way you're going to do it. Okay. So I just wanted to share that because that's big. Like, think about how many millions of people are in the US. These are just the people who reported that they had after death communication. And those numbers are always going to be bigger because people don't always share what they're experiencing. So, but at this point on the planet, there is just so much research out there if you wanted to look for it, that it's almost ludicrous to me that anybody doubts the evidence of the afterlife. Okay, you might doubt, however, can they continue to connect with us after death? Okay, I get that because that's a new thing that we're exploring on this channel and in our Facebook group, Soulmates in the Afterlife, and elsewhere. But the idea of there being an afterlife, like how many near-death experiencers do we need to have share their story? I mean, at this point, it seems like almost every other person on the planet that has had an NDE. It's kind of crazy. So they're not all hallucinating. Many of them share the same story, and different because everybody's different, but similar, things, right? Similar themes. So let's just put that to bed, the debate about the afterlife. If people don't believe in it, it's because of their religion, their belief system, and that's it. There's just too much evidence. And some of you watching right now, especially those of you in our group who signed up for this masterclass, you may have had contact with someone on the other side. And it might not be the person you're trying to contact now, but you may have had some unexplainable experience, right? Or you might feel the presence of your loved one and not be sure that you're really feeling them, but you feel something, you're experiencing something. So the veil is thinning right now because more of us believe at last that we're more than physical beings, that we're spirit beings. And when we lean into that truth, it's not an opinion, it's a truth, then a lot of things start to shift, a lot of things start to open up, and we actually begin to tap into more of who we are, because we are that spirit. We're not this physical body, we're not our physical mind, we're a spirit, okay, who is right now on the other side with all of our loved ones, because we never actually leave the spirit world. What we do is express a small portion of our consciousness into a particular body, which is what you and I have done, which is what our loved ones did, and then they crossed over. And what happens is they merge with all that they are. They regain all of their insight, wisdom, experiences they would call it from other lifetimes, including the life they shared with us. They don't forget anything. I've had a lot of people ask me, well, do they remember me? Like, are they have they moved on? And there's no moving on. Where is there to move on to when everything exists right here, right now? Okay, you have to understand that non-physical reality is not physical reality. It's not governed by the same structure. It's completely different. There you exist in a timeless state, and whatever you think about, whatever immediately manifests, like no resistance. Like boom, you think of an ice cream cone and there's an ice cream cone, okay? And you have it in your hand. It may not taste like the ice cream cone you remember when you were in a body because it's a different experience, but you can certainly manifest an ice cream cone or whatever else you wanted, whatever else, okay, immediately. That said, that means in that timeless state, there is no contrast, there's no resistance, there's no time, right? There's no time and space. It's an illusion, so there's no waiting for anything. Everything is right now. So that means that in a way, and I'm saying this is true, your growth is slower because we grow from challenges. We grow from putting ourselves in situations that kind of nudge us or urge us, or even in some cases kind of force us, meaning like we put ourselves in there, so we're forcing ourselves to grow, to push through, right? To expand further. And that requires certain resistance. Like there's not, it doesn't manifest right away. You need to be, positive. You need to hold steady to your faith and belief and trust. And it can be difficult for some people to do that. So you come into this world and you blank slate. So you don't remember who you really are as a spirit. But when you return home, you regain your memory. This is how it's designed to be. So your loved one on the other side, they now know completely who they are, even if they didn't know when they were here. That's not to say that they're perfect, that they're enlightened, okay? Because every soul is working toward that through their experiences. On the other side, in other dimensions, when they incarnate into a body again, some people have asked me, well, is my loved one going to reincarnate without me? Even if they, here's the thing, even if they did, what did I say earlier? They and you are a spirit remains on the non-physical plane. Okay, there. Doesn't leave. Right now, you and I are with our loved ones over there. We just don't remember it. But that's why other spiritual teachers have said, and they're right, that our loved ones don't miss us technically because they're right here with us. They can see us and hear us and communicate with us. So they don't miss us in the way that we miss them. They can be a little like, I don't even say sad, but maybe a little frustrated, a little concerned that they can't seem to make contact with you, like you're not opening up to it, or you're not trusting it. And so they get concerned about that. They never get upset. They're not angry about anything. What's they get angry about? They're just concerned, like, oh, I'm trying to come through to her to let her know that I'm here, that I'm protecting her. And I don't think she's getting it. I don't think she's feeling me or hearing me. So again, this is why we're teaching this master class. We're going to go further into this in the days that we have together. Okay. But I want you to understand who they are and also who you are. And because you're a spirit, that's why you can communicate with them because, hey, spirit to spirit, your soul, okay, which is who you really are, is the part of you that's completely psychic, right? You can communicate with them soul to soul. Psychic ability is soul communication. Okay, that's all it is. The word psychic comes from the Greek word for, psyche, and it means, of the soul. Your psyche is of the soul. So that's why your conscious mind is not at all psychic, cannot see what's coming, cannot perceive intuitively anything. It's really like deaf, dumb, and blind when it comes to psychic awareness. Okay, so you can't expect this logical mind to compute anything to do with the spirit world. And so, one of your first challenges will be to begin to dismiss the negative thoughts of fear, doubt, that your physical mind will start throwing up at you. Okay. And it's already done that. And I think you guys know what I'm talking about. Some of you already have that. Even people that are in our academy who study with us, they still struggle with that. It's because you're on the earth plane, and it's really easy to start sliding back into the illusion that, oh, my conscious mind knows everything, because that's what you and I were programmed to believe. And it's a really powerful program, it's almost like a tractor beam that pulls you in, and you're just like, oh yeah, this is the only thing that's real is what I can see. No. So when you are shifting to a broader perspective, the truer perspective of reality, that this world is the world of illusion that is literally created by the spirit world and projected here, okay, through our collective consciousness and individual, and it's not real, it's not stable. That's why nothing in the physical world exists forever. Everything in the 3D world at some point will fall away. It'll change into form, another form, like dust, right? Dust particles that blow out to space. But it's still going to degrade and dissolve physically. But the soul that inhabited your body and your loved one's body, that lives on eternally. And in the same way that you can communicate psychically with somebody that's in a body right now, which you can telepathically link in, you can have, I've done this, have conversations with them. You can do the same thing with someone is in the spirit world. There is no difference, folks. No difference. The only barrier is your limiting beliefs. That's pretty much it. Like, what are your limiting beliefs? And let me show you what I mean. So what blocks spirit communication? Number one, well, there's no order here, but number one, fear. That's being afraid of the other side or what you can't see, or even being afraid of what you might experience. Because some of you, I know some of you, you're like, well, I really want to see him or feel him or whatever, but you're like, oh my God, I don't know if I could handle it. I don't know if I could, that might freak me out, So if you feel conflicted, you feel opposing emotions about it, right? I'm afraid about it. Yeah. Well, what happens? You cancel it out. So fear closes the door to spirit communication. That's it. Doubt and disbelief do the same thing. The minute you have a thought of doubt, like let's say you have some sort of unusual contact. Let's pretend that all of a sudden you feel the presence of your loved one, and maybe you feel a hand on your shoulder and you go, well, I don't know, I think I'm making that up. Like, what is that? That's crazy. You're thinking that immediately turns it off, immediately closes the door. It's like hanging up the phone to the other side, because your thoughts manifest instantly. Your thoughts manifest instantly. Better to say something like this: I don't know what just happened, but I know something happened. Because then at least you're claiming it. You don't have to determine exactly what it is. But if you want the communication, and I'm assuming you do, then you don't want to say, I think I'm making it up, because then you get the experience of a reality that proves to you you're making it up. Not doesn't mean it's true. It just means because you think that, that's what you're going to get. Thoughts create immediately. And thoughts of doubt and disbelief and fear thoughts, they will pinch off connection to the other side. Now, it doesn't mean, I want to say here, it doesn't mean that if you have fear and doubt going on, that they couldn't override that. They sometimes can, especially in the early days of their passing, because they have a lot of, quote, earth energy. That's why I call it. That's residual energy that allows them to more easily make contact, whether that is even physically, like showing up, like in a 3D form or holographic form, or coming through with communication. It's just easier because they're not completely transitioned to the other side. But once they are fully transitioned, then it becomes a different Alan's giving me the word ball game. It's a different ball game completely. Now we have to find a way to try to meet them halfway. Before, it was easier for them because they were still had that earth energy. And don't get me wrong, not all of them can do that, but many of them can. Every soul's different. There's no way to generalize this because every soul, every spirit, and by the way, a spirit is basically the aspect of the soul that you and your loved one is. It's not, your spirit is not your soul. Those are different things. The soul is the sum total of you. The spirit is more of this part of you in this life or part of them in this life. So they can still override that, but it gets harder. And then what usually happens for people at that point is they start to believe that their loved one is gone, moved on, and they don't want to, stay connected, which may not be true at all. It's just that you don't know that, oh, I've got to clear up my fear, my doubt, my disbelief. And number 3, I need to let go of any expectations. And I have to stop trying so hard to have this contact. Because when we talked about expectations just a little bit ago, right? You're saying, well, I want this to happen. And they may or may not be able to do that. And so can you think of it this way? Like you think, well, I want you to leave 4 pennies on the bed tomorrow morning or something. And they can't do that because they haven't learned how. Maybe they're still practicing, but they've left you something else. Maybe they left you a feather somewhere, and because you're so focused on the pennies on the bed or something, you're not going to see it. So the better way is to just have no expectations. Set your intention. Say, I would love to have contact, whatever form it is, and not want it so desperately, which also pinches things off. Okay, that's the other problem, because when you want something so badly, it's like this. I want you to hold this idea or visualize, like a feather floating on the ocean, and the wave is, like taking the feather, right? And you're like, I'm trying to get that feather, and the more I swim really close to it, I push it away, I push it the feather is going to keep moving with the tide, with the wave. So when you want something really badly, that is not the energy that allows for communication to flow, because you're forcing. You're like, I want it, I want it, I want it. In other words, you don't trust you're going to get it. That's why you want it. Whereas if you said, I know I'm experiencing communication in some form, I embrace it, I celebrate it, whatever way it comes, more open-ended. So here I'm being guided to tell you to ask open-ended questions like, if I were to get communication and contact from my loved one, what might that look like? See, that open-ended question opens up the door to all possibilities. Whereas if you said, well, I want the communication to be the pennies on the bed, right? Or whatever, then it's like you're trying to put them in a box, and many of them are still learning how to do these things. And again, not all of them are, learning or have to go through a lot of learning. Some of them are amazing. They can do all kinds of things. The stories that people tell that I've heard, it blows my mind, really, what's possible. But we don't know what your loved one is capable of. But I can promise you that if you commit to connecting, to learn how to commit, you connect, like you commit to do it, and you're going to work on your fears, and you're going to let go of your doubt. And if it comes up, you're not going to let it linger in your mind. You're going to go, oh, I know I can connect. I know I can hear them or see them or whatever it is that you're wanting, right? Instead of letting that doubt just like hover in your mind, which is basically, I know you don't know this, but when you don't like talk back to it, which cancels it out, you're letting it take root, right? Because every thought you think manifests. So when you say, well, I'm making this all up, manifests. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm making it all up. It manifests. I don't know if I can ever do that, manifest. So you have to be aware of your thoughts and speak the opposite if you do want communication. You don't have the luxury of doubting this if this is what you want. And for many people, it could be the first time that they're doing their best to be focused on positive thought and harness their mind, right? Because a lot of people, me too, in the past, not so much now, but for sure in the past, we're sloppy thinkers. We just let our mind go any which way. We let ourselves mull over all kinds of scenarios. Some of them are very negative. Oftentimes, they're not positive because we live in a cynical, negative world. Right? So you have to harness your thoughts. And I know it's difficult if you're deep in grief. Of course, it's difficult if you're newly grieving. I get it. And you got to process that grief. Process simply means feel your feelings. Don't repress them. Don't run away from them. I see people sometimes trying to like suppress their grief, like they don't want to cry. And I go, that's the worst thing you can do, really. And here's the thing that I recently learned, and some people in our academy, will understand what I'm talking about because I posted about it. Um, those of you who follow our work, I don't know if I talked a lot about it on our YouTube videos, but certainly in our academy we talk about. I really am a fan of Daryl Anka, who channels Bashar. Bashar's teachings are extraordinary. So one of the things I recently found was a Bashar video talking about grief. That grief can actually be love. And when I asked Alan about this, he showed me something and completely blew my mind. And I realized, yeah, from the day after he passed, I was feeling waves of this love come in so strong. But then the minute that I would think, oh, you're not here, okay, that love turned to grief immediately because thoughts create, right? So immediately I have a thought, you're dead, you're gone, or whatever, the negative thought, that's going to manifest. And for a long time, I was really confused. Why do I feel love and then grief and love and then grief? I thought I was on this roller coaster. And Bashar helped me understand that I was interpreting sometimes that love that would come in, profound love, as it would it as grief, because the depth of love that they have for us is one that you and I probably never experienced in this world. And so it's so deep, it's so moving. And you can imagine if you feel so moved, you cry, right? Like this is so moving. Like maybe if you're a mother and you gave birth to your child, maybe you cried when you held your child for the first time, right? You weren't sad. You were just so overwhelmed with emotion. So when we're overwhelmed with emotion, sometimes that's because they come in, they're wrapping around us with their love. And we're translating it as loss because we go, "Oh, you're not here," but really it's this immense love. And I recently experienced the same thing. I forget what was, yeah, what was happening was I all of a sudden felt this upswell of emotion. And I started crying. I go, wait a minute, I'm not upset about anything. I'm not depressed about anything. I certainly don't have grief. Why am I like crying and feeling so moved? And if I didn't know that I'm not grieving, I would have thought I was grieving because it was so intense. And I realized, oh, this is not just his love, our love, because we've kind of merged. So the emotion is really intense. So you need to understand the dynamics of that what you might be feeling that you're labeling as grief is really their love that is so profound, it moves you and you're like, like how you can be happy but then crying, like maybe on your wedding day or something. You're crying happy tears, but you're not sad. It's just that you're crying, 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 and anybody else would go, "Oh, you're really, sad." Well, no. there's such a fine line between grief and this kind of love because it's so deep. It's because it's soul love. Okay, it's soul love. Right. I see somebody, one of our students just asked a question. Karen asked about where she's stuck on this thinking about interdimensional relationships. Can they be as satisfying as a physical one? And that's a good question for everybody. Whether you're trying to connect with a partner through the veil, a family member, anybody, like, is of course it's not the same. It's not going to be the same. It's going to be at a whole other level. You're going to, if you really want to stay the course with, especially if it's a partner relationship, you're going to have to grow spiritually. You're going to have to get comfortable with the unseen world, with living between heaven and earth, quite literally. Like you will become a medium. So you have to be comfortable with that. You have to understand that, okay, I won't have him physically, but I'll have his presence and communication. And I'll even, if it's a case of partner, there can even be intimacy, because there certainly can be lots of people in our academy will attest to that. So you can have that. It's your decision whether that's enough for you. For some people, it's more than enough. Everybody's different. And also remember, and speaking to people who are partners, you can decide, you can take it day by day and see where this takes you. I will say that I believe that this journey is going to help you grow spiritually. So whatever you end up deciding later, like if later, maybe a month, a year, 2 years later, you go, well, I don't think I want to do this, or I want to move on, or I want to meet somebody, fine. But you don't have to think that far in advance. I would suggest that all of you just take it day by day and say, what do I feel like doing right now, for now? You don't have to plan your whole life at all. There's some people who have children with their partner, and quite often, not always, there's always exceptions, but quite often the partner on the other side wants to remain a partner, wants to remain an active parent. Okay, in fact, that may have been the sole plan. I'm going to be the mother or father from the other side. This was planned. I'm going to parent through the veil. This happens too. Obviously, that's not going to be the same relationship. And Alan was telling me, and in some cases, the mother who's here still in a body, she might indeed marry again, and the husband's still going to be involved because he's never going to stop being a dad. So I'm trying to say, you all have choices, and you can always change your mind. So follow what your guidance tells you. Does this feel right to me right now, today? Because you don't have to invest all your life savings in this, or you don't have to change your life radically to do this. And as far as, hearing them and all that, everybody's different, and they're different on the other side. We're different in a body. So all those things can happen. But I'll be honest, it took me about 2 years to get really comfortable with what I was hearing. That's just me. It could be 1 year, could be 6 months, could be 3 years. I don't know. I can't promise you anything. Okay. All I know is we create our experience. We meet them halfway. Okay. They can do what they can do, but they can't do it all from the other side. Alan says, he says, so some of them maybe can do a lot more, or are learning to do a lot more. But again, it's up to you. What does your heart tell you to do? So right now, for all of you, whether you're trying to connect with a parent, a child, another family member, your husband, your whoever, partner, whoever, I want you to ask that question. Do however way you want to phrase it. You could say, is continue this relationship for my highest good? Don't worry about them. Is this for my highest good? And how does that feel in your heart? How does it feel in your heart? That's basically the only thing that matters. They want to help us regardless of what we want to do or not do. And they're here to support us. So if we feel like, well, I need a relationship, a physical relationship, I'd say 98% of the time, only reason I don't say 100%, because again, there's always exceptions. Most of the time, they're going to support that, help us find somebody. In fact, they're probably going to be rather picky and say, well, that person's not good for you because there's no jealousy in the spirit world. Again, there can be exceptions. I've heard talk to people who said, no, 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 no. My husband kicked all the guys I was dating, kicked them out of the house when I started to date. So they're all different. It depends on their soul maturity and also what they agreed to with us. Okay, so it's up to you. As if it was me, all I can tell you is what I would do, right? So me, if it was me, knowing myself, this is the thing, you got to know yourself. Knowing myself, I'd go, if I gave up on this, I would always wonder what might have been. That would haunt me. Like maybe I could have this incredible relationship because I know that miracles are possible and that contact through the veil is increasing. So I really, one of the things I really don't like is to have regret. Like, oh God, why didn't I just have faith and stayed the course? But in the end, it's only your decision. It's only like what works for you. But remember, you can change your mind tomorrow. You can change your mind next week. You can change your mind next year. So my suggestion is to tune in and say, well, what do I feel like today? If you want to put it on pause for the day and say, I'm not sure about this relationship. I'm not going to walk away from it, but I'm just going to put it on the shelf for the day. Fine. You can do whatever you want to do. It's your life. It's your reality. So claim it. Do whatever. If that makes you happy, do that. If it doesn't make you happy, don't do that. That would be my suggestion. Does that make sense? Everybody understand what I'm talking about? Okay. So where are we here in our time? I want to cover the affirmation that we're going to use today and for the next couple of days, several days when we continue this training. Okay. And you're going to use this. I would suggest that you use this whenever you need to center yourself, whenever you need to, and certainly when you want to connect with your loved one on the other side. Okay. So this is the affirmation. I am one with all that is. This is what we use with our students. And basically, you're saying, I am one with God. I'm one with everything. God is all that is. If you rather say God, you can say God. I hope you're at least comfortable with saying, I'm one with all that is. But the reason I use this affirmation and teach you to use it is because this is the affirmation that my spirit team gave me when I was in the midst of a full-blown like panic attack when I was at the dentist. And I never had one before. But they were, you know how they do it, digging around in your mouth with a rubber dam to catch the silver fillings that they were taking out. And I'd had that happen before, but I was never reacted the way I did this particular time, but I felt like I was going to start screaming and pulling everything out of my mouth. And I heard my guide say, and okay, and the way it comes in, it's not a voice, but this message came in, just say, I'm one with all that is. And that is spirit communication. I knew it was them. I could feel the love from them. And I took their suggestion because what else could I do? Like, okay, I'll try that. So I said, I am one with all that is. I am one with all that is. Like Dominique and Margaret, they're saying, yes, that works. And I later found out that a manifestation expert, one that you may have heard of, that he used that he uses this. So I didn't even know that because you're saying I'm one with God, and that is the highest affirmation you can say. And you're basically telling every cell in your body that you're one with all that is, and so it's going to relax because that is the truth. Whether you consciously believe it or not, guess what? Your subconscious doesn't know the difference. So when you repeat it, it just chills out. Oh, yeah, I forgot. I am one with all that is. I am God. And it starts to relax. It doesn't matter that your conscious mind's going, that can't be. It's too easy. It doesn't matter. Why? Because thoughts create. So when you say, I'm one with all that is, that's going to instantly manifest. And also because that is the highest truth. So when you say something that is the highest truth, it's going to happen. Okay. You could certainly have another thought of doubt, right? Like, oh, it can't be that easy. And now you're pinching it off. But I suggest you just lean into it. Okay, I'm going to repeat this. And not just when you do our guided exercise today, but at other times, like other times through the day, like when you might be stressed out or when you're having a hard time relaxing, or maybe when you just want to practice, right? Like centering, like do this. This can be your mantra. And mantras work. If you just sat there and just kept saying, I'm one with all that is, I'm one with all that is, you're going to go into a deeply relaxed state, which we're going to lead you in a minute, and you will start having some sort of experience. Okay. Spirit communication is not rocket science. It's not difficult. What's difficult is your limiting beliefs that we talked about here for a minute, right? Like your blocks. Like, are you afraid? Do you doubt it? But again, I want to really emphasize that our society believes when we feel fear or doubt that that's true. I want you to think about that. When you have a fear thought or feel fear, you immediately think this must be real. There's something for me to be afraid of. Or when you have a thought of doubt, okay, this must be real. And guess what? It's not. Your positive thoughts, you don't have the same reaction, do you? When you think a positive thought, you don't go, oh yeah, well, that's real. I am, I am whole and healthy and life is getting better. That it doesn't have the depth of emotion that fear has. That's the challenge. Limiting beliefs like fear, doubt, disbelief are strong. They're stronger. They're embedded in our collective consciousness. And that's why it can be hard to pull away from that. But the fact that you have that fear and have that doubt is an indication that that's a lie, because there isn't anything to fear except your fear, because then you'll manifest it. There's nothing to doubt unless you want to create an experience of doubt relative to what you just experienced or thinking of, because you're just manifesting that. You just don't understand how reality is created, that reality is created by your thoughts. And you're not aware of the thoughts you hold in your subconscious, which is far vaster than your conscious thoughts. Right? It's like you're it's like you're this iceberg and only a little bit of the ice is on the ocean, surface, right? And then this giant iceberg beneath the surface. That's your subconscious. And you're not even aware of it. All you know is what your reality is reflecting back to you that comes from your subconscious beliefs and thoughts. So you just have to understand that this is what you're going to be dealing with, when you start to connect to the veil, deal with fear, your doubt, disbelief, and not have set expectations, but set an intention. I intend to connect. I intend to have this amazing experience. I intend to trust whatever I experience. Set those kind of intentions. It'll take you further. Don't get really specific, like, well, I want to see them, physically. I want him to hold my hand or whatever. And they might. Don't get me wrong, they certainly might. But if you get all fixed on that, you're not giving them the wiggle room to deliver something maybe even better, because you're so fixated on, but I want this. They are still learning. You need to trust that, because some people think that, well, they're non-physical, they must be omnipresent and they see everything and they can tell me my future. No. Some of them can see further ahead, absolutely, and they might warn you about something, but we can't count on that. They're not always aware of everything that's happening in your space either, like around you. Not always, because it's just how it is. It depends. The way it was explained to me by Alan was that they're think of it this way. It's like they're juggling these two realities, and they are here with us. They can always be here with us because they're multidimensional, and so are you and I. And so they can be here with us, but they may not be fully present, right? They're kind of aware, but they may not be fully focused on us. And they're also have their consciousness in other dimensions, including the other side and other realities and all that. So he says sometimes they can be spread a bit thin. But the minute you and I say, like if I said, hey, Alan, like I need you, it's like, boom. Okay, I'm here. Just a thought away in those instances. But in other times, right, when you're doing stuff, they're not always like monitoring you. Well, he's saying maybe some of them are, it depends what's going on in your life. Because if you're going through something really critical, you're really having a hard time, let's say you're really in a dire state, that might be different. Again, there's always exceptions. So you can't say, well, it's always going to be like this. This is this is what humans in a body do. We want to know, I want to know exactly how it's going to be. Tell me, the fact, like it's always going to be like this, it's going to be like that. No, there is a lot of leeway here. So they may not be aware of everything around you. And sometimes they might be. Okay. You can ask them, can you, like, I'm going into this situation. Can you be with me and be very aware with me while I'm here? Can you do that? Okay. Today, I'm going to lead you through connecting with them. We're just going to see what happens. We're going to go deeper with this in the next class. But right now, I just want you to be more kind of light about it, right? Like, again, no expectation, just intention. I want you to just be light about it and say, okay, I'm just going to connect and see what happens. The interesting thing is, a lot of times when people begin to open up psychically, and again, this is the soul level because psychic is of the soul. So when they start connecting with their soul and reading through their soul, right? Like communicating from their soul to the soul of a loved one, or maybe even a friend that they're reading psychically. That starts happening and we start connecting and sometimes I'm seeing this so often when I would teach psychic development classes, people would astound themselves with what they got because they're kind of not caring. They're like completely new to it. And so they just like, and I'll tell them, just make it up because whatever drops in your head, just say it and see what the person says. They might say, oh, that makes complete sense, or I don't know what that, even if they say, I don't know what that is, it could be that they forgot about it. And they might later go, oh, I know exactly what you mean now. I didn't get it when you told me, but I understand that what you saw was, yeah, that was what my grandfather was wearing when he passed. I completely forgot, that he was dressed in that shirt or the colors, whatever. Okay. So you, you just have to, if you just jump in there, you're going to shock yourself. Like, how did I know that? And people I know who teach psychic development, we kind of call it like beginners. I don't want to say luck, but it's like a beginner's experience where they don't have any expectation and it's easier to just like let whatever happen and not be attached to it. But really, when you do readings, that's the best way to always keep it, to have this kind of beginner's mind where, well, I'll just see what happens. I'm just going to give what I get and I don't care. Like you can just say, I see this, I feel this, I hear this, whatever it is, this is what I'm experiencing relative to your question or your loved one, and let it go and say, this is it. Like, and the crazier it is, whatever you're perceiving, the more accurate it is, because you are going to start picking up on them. Okay. Makes sense. Okay. So Lisa says this affirmation can be very powerful and elicit strong emotion if you allow yourself to really feel the truth of it. Right. So just don't just go no mumble mumble the affirmation. I'm one with all this. I'm one with all this. Just say it really fast or something. Just really say it. And I don't want you to go have a PTSD attack, so don't do that. But when I had that panic attack, I was saying it very thoughtfully, oh, this is gonna work. I'm one with all that is. Seriously, within I think by the second time I repeated it, I started to just calm down. And this was like almost having a full blown panic attack. So if it can do that for me in that situation, it can help you. So the only way for you to understand this is to try it yourself. Okay. So do that. All right. So I'm going to bring the other side in. Although they're already here. They're already here. So let me just briefly explain this. So this is the basic process for the bridge to heaven that up to now we've done solely with one-on-one clients in our work to help them make contact. As we said earlier, contact is not complicated. You just got to get a control of your fears and your your other issues, your disbelief and all that. But if that's at least being managed, doesn't have to be completely gone, but at least it's not running the show, then if you use this affirmation, you're going to repeat it, and we're going to lead you through this in a minute. You repeat it until you feel nice and relaxed, like on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being the least relaxed you've ever been and 10 being the most relaxed. You're going to self-assess, right? And say, okay, yeah, I feel after saying this for a minute or so, I feel like I'm about a 5. So I think I need to affirm a little longer because your goals really ideally should be that you feel at least a 7. 8 would be better, 8 or higher. You don't have to get to a 10. Don't worry about that. But the more relaxed you are, the better this will go for you, right? The other thing I want you to understand as we guide you through this, and I'm going to guide you to visualize, imagine, see, or feel in some way. You don't have to see visually. If you don't see visually, it doesn't matter. You can just know that your loved one is there. Just knowing is fine. There's claircognizant clairvoyance where you just know what you see in your mind's eye. You just sensing them is fine too. I've had a lot of people that made contact with someone through the veil and they could feel them. I mean, feel their presence, feel their love, feel their energy almost, and feel tingles or whatever. They felt presence. Don't ever underestimate presence as proof of the afterlife, because to me, that one is almost impossible to conjure up, because how do you do that? Whereas people see things in their mind's eye and they can easily just say, oh, I just made that up. And by the way, you're not making it up. If you're doing this exercise and you do have someone on the other side that wants to connect with you, and I'm being shown, like pretty much everybody here, they do want to connect with you, maybe not for the rest of your life. In some cases, maybe they will, we don't know. But for right now, yeah, for sure. They're going to be around you. So it's a question of you expanding your awareness to perceive them in whatever way you can, whether it's through, again, sensations, physical sensations like tingles or chills, heat, anything like that physically, even like pressure on the body, like somebody's touching you. One time I felt like somebody scratching my nose, that kind of thing. Or it could be you see shapes or colors or faces or places, something visual. Could see lines. You could see all kinds of things in your mind's eye. You might hear something. That's clairaudience. We're going to go into clairaudience tomorrow. Clairaudience, you might hear something like somebody's talking to you, and you might actually hear a voice that seems external to you. But usually clairaudience is internal, like you're talking to yourself, but you're not. And that takes a little practice to discern that you're really not talking to yourself. We'll talk about that tomorrow. But you're just going to notice whatever you happen to notice. You might smell something, smell cigarettes, smell flowers, smell perfume that they wore, smell a dish that they may have been their favorite to cook. You could smell spirit that way. You might taste something. All of a sudden, a taste comes into your throat, like a salty taste, or you taste. It could be anything, right? It could be you actually taste food. Like, oh my goodness, I taste like I feel like I'm eating pizza. What is this? So you're just going to notice whatever happens, whatever you notice, and accept that. Okay. Because if you're not willing to suspend disbelief for now and just accept that something happened, even if you don't know what it is, you can't develop this. There's nowhere for it to grow because you're instead like, I think the average person out there doesn't understand spirit communication and has a lot of doubt about it. They believe like, well, I should see evidence first. No, you will not see evidence until you believe first, because your beliefs create reality. So that's why the skeptic, if they're really hardcore skeptics, they will likely very rarely experience the other side. And even if they did, they're just going to dismiss it and go, well, that's just a fluke, because it doesn't fit their belief system. When your belief system is more open, you say, well, I want to see what this is. Then you're letting the other side come through to give you proof. But they can't give you proof if you're not open to exploring contact. If you doubt it, fear it, and all that. Does that make sense? Because I think it should. I hope it makes sense, because that's just how it is. Like if you doubt that it's them, you're going to experience more doubt that it's them. Right. So we're going to do this exercise as a group, because when we do any of these guided meditations that we lead, and we lead a lot of them in our academy, we are taking advantage of the group energy, the field that we're created, and we are therefore bringing in our loved ones on the other side, guides and angels too. They're all helping, and so we have this almost. Alan's describing it like this thick energy soup, spiritual soup, right? Of commingling energies, that your loved one is there. If it's a partner, they might be wrapping their etheric arms around you. Or if it's a mom, she might be kissing you on the forehead, what have you. If it's a brother, he could be hugging you, whatever. So they're with us and they're participating. And our job is to suspend disbelief, and I'm going to guide you in a minute, and just explore what we start seeing, feeling, hearing, sensing, knowing. You might feel something emotionally too. It's not just going to be physical. You might all of a sudden feel these deep emotion, because that's also clairsentience. Clairsentience is both physical sensation and emotional feelings. They're two things. So anything that just spontaneously comes to you, I can't prove to you what it is, but what are you going to do? You're going to at least own it and say, I don't know what this is, but I know I experienced something. And you can figure that out later. We're going to talk more about that tomorrow, how to identify, well, if you're not sure, because some of you will be very sure. You go, oh, I know that's my husband. Like, I know that's his energy. Some of you might go, I don't know. I'm not sure. And so we're going to talk about that tomorrow. But for today, I wanted to start like on a very basic level, so you have a way to compare tomorrow when we go further. Okay. Does that sound like a deal? So we have a point of comparison. I will take you as far as I can take you in all of this, but let's do that. So I'd like you to be sure you're comfortable wherever you are right now, and hopefully not be disturbed if possible. And if you are disturbed, that's okay. You can watch the replay. And I'd like you to begin by taking some deep breaths in through your nose and exhaling out through your mouth. This is the ideal way to breathe, by the way. If you breathe through your mouth, it's over breathing. So you want to breathe through your nose and out through your mouth, like with pursed lips, perhaps, to exhale. And I'm going to guide you through all of this. So just follow me, right? So take another breath in And breathe out. Take another breath in. And on the out breath, now I'd like you to affirm, I am one with all that is. 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 And just keep affirming with me. I am one with all that is. 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 And I'd like you to just keep repeating it for a few more moments in your mind to yourself, just to get used to it. You don't have to say it out loud unless you want to. I am one with all that is. I am one with all that is. And just keep repeating and noticing how relaxed you are. I am one with all that is. I am one with all that is. I am one with all that is. And you might continue to repeat this affirmation in your mind. That's fine. I am one with all that is. I am one with all that is. And just know that in time, you will only have to say this affirmation a few moments and you'll get right into the zone. You're going to train your brain to recognize this is a trigger for you to go into a deep state of relaxation. You won't need anything else. You can practice something else, but you won't really need anything. I am one with all that is. I am one with all that is. And now I'd like you to imagine, see, or feel that you're expanding your awareness simply using the power of your intention to do so. You're saying, I'm expanding my awareness. I'm activating my non-physical energy body because I have both a physical and a non-physical energy body. I'm activating that non-physical body so that I can perceive all that is here. I'm going to enhance my ability to perceive the spirit world. And I'll let go of any doubt or fear or concern. I'm just going to enjoy this time without any expectation, knowing that whatever happens will be perfect for me today. Okay, so just feel yourself expand. You might feel as if you're kind of this balloon that's expanding a little bit. Your energy is just getting a little bigger, right? Just expanding. It just ease into this, right? And as you're expanding your awareness and you're feeling that expansion, I want you now to think of a place where you want to meet your loved one or a guide in the spirit world, somewhere where that you could imagine, see, or feel yourself being. Okay, this is critical that you're able to visualize or feel yourself there. Like it's someplace that you love or someplace that's comfortable to you. And I want you to hold that in your mind, in your awareness, that you're in that place and be there as fully as you can. Imagine that you can feel the chair under your arms if you're sitting on a chair. Like, what is the fabric made of? Is it smooth? Is it rough? If you're in a room, what does the room look like? Can you get a sense of it or just know what it looks like? And don't worry if you feel you can't imagine or experience anything. Don't worry about it at all. Just enjoy the experience. Ask, set the intention to feel whatever you can feel, experience whatever you can experience, and just let it go. Because every time you do this, it will be different. And today will be whatever it is, and it'll be perfect. And tomorrow will be completely different. That is the nature of reality. Constant change, constant evolution. You cannot stand still, even if you try. So let go of any concerns or worries. You can do this because you're a soul. And your soul is completely psychic. You were born psychic. You're just reclaiming that. And as you reclaim it, you're going to open up to that true knowing that you have brought with you into this life, and you will continue to hold on to that in all your incarnations. So just imagine, see, or feel yourself in this special place, and I want you to see your loved one or guide or angel with you as fully as you can. You don't have to see them visually in your mind. If you do, great. If you don't worry about it. Just hold the intention, experience whatever you experience. Some of you are maybe just going to feel a presence, and you won't be sure if that's your loved one. That's okay. You're just starting. But you got to start by claiming whatever you experience, or you're not going to build on it. So don't discount it. Don't dismiss it. Don't doubt it. Say, okay, I know I experienced something. And if you're experiencing nothingness, great, good for you. Go into the nothingness. If you hear something, a message, go into that, whatever. Just go with whatever you're experiencing. Okay, be light about this. So when you see or feel your loved one there with you, okay, I want you to be there as fully as you can. And I want you to now, through the power of your intention, open your arms to them and ask them to send you their love, to broadcast their love. This is what they're telling me they want to do. So it doesn't matter if you can't see them, right? So feel this love coming to you. And if you're not sure, like if you're thinking, I don't know if I can feel it, just ask yourself this open-ended question. What would it be like if I did feel it? What would it be like if I did feel my loved one's love for me? And whatever happens next is your answer. You might not feel this intense wave of love. You might, some of you might. You might simply feel like some energy tingling. Whatever it is, just claim it, because you're going to do this again, and it'll always be different. I want you to imagine that their love is pouring over you. Imagine you're sitting under a waterfall of their unconditional love. And this love is not just the love of your loved one. This is God's love. This is source love. This is all that is. It's all the same. So I'd like you to feel that love coming down from above, or maybe it's even just engulfing you from all sides, like you're being immersed in a sea of love. And I want you to take that love into your heart. Put your hands over your heart and just say to yourself in your mind, I feel your love. And when you're saying your, you mean your loved one, God, everybody. Just say, I feel your love. I feel your love. I feel your love. And notice what you experience. Do you feel heat? Do you feel goosebumps, tingles? Just let the love in. Let this love pouring down from above, going into your heart, going through your body, going down your arms, down your stomach, down to your pelvis, down your legs, down your feet. And this love is radiating out through your hands like fountains of love. And all that love is flooding your aura, which is your energy field. And this love is also overflowing from the top of your head. So that's fountaining. So all that's around you in your aura is love. God's love, the love of your loved ones, your guides, your angels. I just want you to feel that love. Now notice if you can detect light, like a sense of light. Maybe you see the light. Maybe you just have an awareness that, oh, it just got brighter. What happened? What is that? If you can't see it, don't worry about it. They're broadcasting love and light to you. The light is to illuminate your soul's truth so that you will be able to more easily perceive using your intuition. They're trying to ignite your soul's memory of being fully intuitive, psychic. Okay. And now, in this state of love, ask your loved one for a message. What do they want to tell you? Or maybe they're going to show you something symbolically, like a picture, an image, or take you someplace. Maybe they just keep sending you more love, and that's how you're feeling the love increasing. Just go with that experience. And take a breath in. And on the exhale, once again, if you put down your two hands, put them back on your heart, and take in all that love. And affirm to yourself, if you're in agreement to say this, I know I am a soul, and I know how to live as my soul, and I do so now. I know I am a soul. I know how to live as a soul, and I do so now. And lay claim to being your soul. You can also call that your higher self. And know that your soul communicates through emotion, through subtle emotion quite often. Emotion such as joy, excitement, passion, curiosity, fascination. Whenever you feel this positive impulse that you want to do something, even if it makes no sense, that quite often is your soul, your higher self, saying, come this way. This would be really good for you, for us. The more you follow that, things will start to flow in your life. Okay. So now I want to bring you back and you know that you can do this anytime on your own. Can rewatch this, connect again, and we are going to continue tomorrow and the day after. But right now, I want you to bring yourself back and we want to ground you really well. So I would like you to imagine, see, or feel that you're putting roots down that could actually look like maybe tree trunks or the roots of a plant down through your feet, down to the earth, and just anchor yourself there. You're just connecting to the earth. Any negative emotion, any energies that don't belong to you, you're going to give to your guides, to the other side. They'll take it and transmute it. We won't give it to Mother Earth. She's already dealing with so much. We'll send it out to the guides and angels who can transmute it and use it for healing. So we're going to, again, just using the power of your intention, because thoughts manifest, we're sending it out. Okay. And right now in this moment, I want you to see if you notice if anything's different around you. Do you feel more sensitive? Do you feel more emotional? Do you feel something physically? Anything. You might not. There's no right or wrong answer to this. Okay. Practicing is what it's all about. Practicing meditation for 15 minutes actually changes the brain. Okay, so we want to do meditation for more than 10 minutes, 5 minutes. I mean, you can do the affirmation, you're just trying to calm yourself, right? But that's not going to be meditation if you do the affirmation for a few minutes. But if you want the full benefit of expanding your consciousness and connecting through the veil, you would be advised to do this for 15 minutes. You can do it longer, of course, but 15 minutes is all you really need to get the most out of this experience. And if you can, keep track of it, like write down like in a journal what you experienced, that would help too, because that's going to anchor your experience into physical reality. So maybe you keep a notebook and just jot down what you experienced, because thoughts create, whether those thoughts are spoken or written. Thoughts create. So don't let this experience be solely internal and only in your mind, and you don't have any record of it. This is the mistake that a lot of people make, and they're not manifesting that connection. At some point, you may not even need that, but in the beginning, it will really help if you do chronicle it, if you do keep a journal. Okay. That's okay. Marianne just said nothing happened to me. Okay, I want you to try this again. Okay. You might be trying too hard. You might have some fear, a doubt about this. And this is why this isn't a one-time thing. You don't like just do this exercise and boom, you've got contact and I mean, some people might, but most people, no, they're going to have to practice, and we're going to practice this again tomorrow. Everybody's different. Also, for some of you, you might get somebody else come through, not the person you're trying to connect with. You might get a pet that passed, another family member, and you go, hey, wait a minute, Grandma, how come you're here? Because the spirit world is running this, not you and me. The more you do it, you are laying down, like what I'm being shown by spirit is like railroad tracks. You're building the railroad tracks. You're building, and you don't even have the train yet. You're just laying down the tracks. So That comes from practice, practice, practice. And where people miss out, what I've seen is that people just they're impatient. They go, I can't do this, forget it. So you got to decide, am I going to stay the course with this? You got to be persistent. This is not, if this was so easy, hey, everybody be doing it already. It doesn't mean it's impossible. It means that it takes determination, persistence, and you've got to evaluate what your beliefs are and be really honest. Yeah, I guess I do have a fear of the other side. I worked with somebody that it wasn't until I worked with her and she realized, yeah, I guess I am really afraid of the spirit world because my mother used to tell me that if I was naughty, that the spirits under my bed would get me. So of course she couldn't connect through the veil. And she forgot about that. She goes like, "Oh, I completely forgot. My mother just told me that like all the time. You better behave or, something's going to get you." So you may not even know. You might have forgotten like she had until I talked about it and I said, "You sure you don't have any fear about it?" She was like, "Oh my God, I forgot. Yeah, my mother was very superstitious and she told me that something would get me if I didn't." Can you imagine somebody telling their kid that? Every time you do this, you're going to be different. If you did this right now, you'd be different. You're going to have a different experience. You cannot have the same experience every time. Impossible. Impossible. Try. I challenge you to try. You're always going to have a different experience. You might one time have this powerful experience, and the next time you go, well, it wasn't as powerful as it last time. Don't worry, it's going to change again. This is why we in a body got to decide, are we all in on this? Are we going to stay the course with this? Are we just going to like give up, try it like for a couple of days a week or even 2 weeks and say that's it? I was practicing connecting with my spirit team 5 months. I'm not telling you you got to do this for 5 months, but if you did, I can almost promise you, you're going to have a phenomenal experience. That's what happened to me. 5 months every day, connecting not with a loved one, with my guide, with my guides. And then I had a full on psychic awakening, spiritually transformative experience. And I, at that time, knew nothing about this. I was as green as everybody here who's green. Zero experience with the other side. Zero. I was a waitress. Never took any psychic development classes. I think I had a reading by a psychic, but it was pretty lame. Like I didn't believe in it. It was pretty sad. So I know, I know that if I could do that back then in 1987, like what, almost 37 years ago, when the energy was not as intense and supportive and the other side wasn't coming through so intensely, I know you can do it. 99% of you. I can't say 100% because there's always going to be somebody who just goes like, I believe I can't do it, and then they'll manifest that. But if I could do it back then with being a complete newbie, the people in my channeling workshop were way more experienced than me. I had a transcendental meditator teacher there. Talk about, feeling intimidated. I had a crystal healer there. All these people who'd taken psychic development classes, and I knew nothing. And he said, the transcendental meditation teacher, said, I was the one that was the most clear because I didn't have any fear. I didn't have any limiting beliefs. He later told me that's why I just took off. And he said, that's the determining factor, not experience. It's, do you have fear? Are you doubting? Or are you I could feel this love from the spirit world and it was intoxicating. So I knew I wanted to have all of that. Like who wouldn't want that, right? Who wouldn't want to connect with their side and feel this love that they've never felt before, even though my parents did love me. This is a different kind of love. And if you have a partner through the veil, that's a completely different kind of love. So, but you got to work for it a bit. We do everything in our power to hold the space for you, but you're the one to that needs to let go of whatever's in your way. We can't do that for you. Can't do that for you. When I went through that opening, it was like I got blank slated. So any other itty bitty fears I had, more about insecurities and stuff, were just blank slated. And a psychic teacher, spiritual teacher, who had 3 near deaths and could read people and see whether they were distorted, like whether they had all these files of limiting beliefs. He would see your files. He would know what limiting beliefs you have. And so he scanned me because he called on me in class, scanned me, and he goes, "What the hell did you do?" And I go, what are you talking about? He says, "Your files are gone. Did you have a near-death experience?" At the time, I didn't know the term spiritually transformative experience, and I don't think he did either. So he said, "Well, you had an NDE without dying. So you went through this big change, and it's kind of like you got blank slated." And I said, "Yeah, because I've changed very much to, yeah, from what I was before. I wasn't insecure about certain things anymore. I wasn't certainly much even less fearful than I ever was before." And so so if I can do that, and Spirit told me I planned it that way in this life, that I would open up like that so powerfully from 0 to, 100, wherever I went, to show and teach people that if I can do this, so can you. It's not about anything but letting go of your fears and limiting beliefs, especially now. Right now on the planet. Okay. You can do this, but you've got to be honest and look at those beliefs and go, "Oh, yeah, I still have the belief." And when you feel your fear thought come up or your doubt come up, you just tell it off. You go, "That's not true. I can do this. I know this is real." Don't let the doubt thought just hang in the air, because it does lodge in your field. So you want to cancel it out, because you can't take it back, right? You can't, like, if you have that thought, like, "Oh, I can't do this," you can't take it back because now you just thought it. How can you you can't, like, discreate it, but you can't cancel that and go, "At least I can do that." And now you're back to 0, right? Now you zeroed out, instead of keep feeding the doubt monster by saying, "I can't do it. I can't do it. Other people can do it, but I can't do it. What if everybody else can do it, but I can't do it?" You're feeding that monster that then has to show up in your life. So you got to decide what you're going to believe. And we cannot do that for you. Your loved one can't do that for you. Okay. I know some of you are saying that you've had great experiences since connecting with us, and we're so happy for you, very grateful for you that you have that. But it really is as simple as, do you believe? Are you willing to believe? Are you willing to suspend your disbelief? Are you willing to just trust? And therefore, not listen to what other people are telling you. So today, for your homework, those of you that are in our soulmates group, I'm sorry, the Bridge to Heaven pop-up group, or soulmates group too, you got to go back into that pop-up group and just share your experiences. That's all you're going to do. Just say, "This is what happened for me." And if nothing happened for you, say that too. But I would suggest you write, "I didn't experience anything, but I'm optimistic that I will." Like, phrase it in a positive way instead of saying, "Nothing happened." Nothing happened. Because if you say that, you're affirming that nothing happened, and you're maybe affirming that nothing will happen again. So say, "I'm not sure what happened," or "Nothing happened, but I believe something will happen soon." Phrase it positively in a way that, you could lean into for not just tomorrow, but for the rest of your days if you want to do this. Now, I would recommend that you practice this again if you can before class tomorrow. Just my suggestion. You don't have to, but that's what I would do. Just practice connecting, do, or at least do the affirmation to get chilled out. If you were struggling a bit with relaxing, then start there. If you feel like, "Well, I don't know about really connecting yet," maybe you need to just work on relaxing more. Fine. Whatever you do, you're just starting your journey. And if you want to continue it, that'll be your choice. You don't have to if you don't want to, but you're just starting it. So you can't expect out the gate that, oh, everything is like in my lap. Like, I got it all. Great. You don't need this class. You come and teach it with us. All right. So we're going to, end here and connect with you tomorrow when we're going to talk about clairaudience. You're going to begin to understand, especially those of you who have been getting songs playing in your mind, right? A lot of people have that. Like, what is that song or that word or the phrase? Guys, that's clairaudience. That's not you. Your physical mind has no interest in playing songs in your mind. Why would it ever do that? It doesn't even believe in the other side. Why would it make this song repeat over and over? I'll talk more about that tomorrow. How Alan's been driving me crazy with one song. I go, and I'm going like, can you just change the song at least? Like, but it just keeps repeating. And that's how you know, okay, that's you, because I don't want that song playing in my head. And there's so many other ways that you can hear clairaudiently, but it starts by you paying attention. Okay, so we're not going to get ahead of ourselves here. So just practice what we did today as much as you want. If you don't want to, that's fine too. Okay, get rest, be rested. Okay, your emotional and physical state have a bearing on your connection at times. If your energy is really low, your vibration is low, you're really stressed out or worried, it's going to be hard to rise up. We got to rise up to connect with them. That's just the spiritual physics of it all. Okay, there's no way around that. So the higher your vibration, the easier it is, the more relaxed you are, the easier it is. And I know you can do it, because guess what? They're helping you. Absolutely. The other side wants this for you if you're here. You're the one that's going to determine, how this really plays out, because they're not going to force you. They're just here because they want to help you, and they want to connect, and they want to reassure you that they love you and they're here to support you. Okay. All right. So I hope you enjoyed today. Look forward to talking to you tomorrow. Take it easy, right? Practice self-care, because I know a lot of you are freshly grieving, so they want us to take care of ourselves. So do whatever you need to do that. Okay, whatever you need, like unplug the phone, or say no to some people that are trying to bring you down, or trying to make you do things for them that you don't have time to do. You got to put yourself first. Put yourself first. And focus on that. Focus on doing what brings you joy, or at least whatever makes you feel a little bit lighter and happier. Reach for that, because that's what they want for you, to do that. All right. We love you, and we can't wait for tomorrow, but I guess we'll have to. And again, just have a good evening, morning, whatever it is when you're watching this, and practice with joy. Right. The best is yet to come. I promise you.